Denmark has just gone through one of its most surprising political shifts in recent memory, and the results have stunned both analysts and the ruling party alike. In the latest municipal and regional elections, the Social Democrats, Denmark's dominant center-left party led by Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, suffered losses across the country that were far deeper than the leadership had expected. What made these elections particularly historic was the loss of Copenhagen, a city the Social Democrats have controlled for more than a century. Their support fell from 28.4% in 2021 to 23.2% this year, marking a nationwide decline of over 5 percentage points. And although they remain the largest municipal party overall, the loss of multiple strongholds signaled a shift in voter sentiment that has implications far beyond local governance. What unfolded on election night was not a minor setback, but a symbolic moment in Danish politics, highlighting voter frustration with economic pressures, rural-urban divides, and a growing dissatisfaction with the party's approach to immigration and integration. In Copenhagen, the defeat was particularly personal for Prime Minister Frederiksen because she had supported and encouraged her close political ally, Pernille Rosenkrantz-Theil, to run for the position of Lord Mayor. Rosenkrantz-Theil, despite the weight of the party establishment behind her, fell significantly short of the votes needed. Support for the Social Democrats in the capital dropped from 17.2% in the previous election to just 12.7%, an unusually steep decline for a party with such a long and entrenched history in the city. With the Social Democrats pushed out of contention, the mayoral position will now be held by Sisse Marie Welling of the Green Left, SF, which secured 17.9% of the vote. The Red-Green Alliance, Enhedslisten, remained the largest party in Copenhagen with 22.1%, underscoring how the capital's electorate has moved further left and increasingly favors parties pushing progressive social policies, green transformation, and more inclusive immigration frameworks. Prime Minister Frederiksen, reacting to the results, acknowledged that the decline in support was more severe than the party's internal projections. She pointed to several pressures affecting voter confidence. Rising food prices, concerns about inflation, and a growing perception of imbalance between rural and urban regions have played major roles. Many rural communities feel that decision-making has become too centered on Copenhagen, leaving peripheral towns behind in areas such as investment, public services, and infrastructure. Furthermore, her tough stance on immigration, long considered an essential strategy for winning over centrist and right-leaning voters, appears to have alienated key segments of the Social Democrats' traditional base, especially in urban areas. While she emphasized crime linked to individuals coming from outside Denmark as a key political issue, that framing has worn thin among younger and urban voters who increasingly favor more nuanced and inclusive policies. The losses were not limited to Copenhagen. The Social Democrats also faced setbacks in several municipalities where they traditionally performed strongly. Places such as Frederikshavn, Køge, Fredericia, Gladsaxe, and Holstebro, which historically leaned reliably towards the center-left, shifted away this election cycle. Political analysts interpret these losses as a sign that local dissatisfaction is widespread rather than concentrated in the capital. While the electorate's concerns vary from town to town, several themes recur: dissatisfaction with municipal services, the impact of cost of living pressures, and frustration with what some perceive as inconsistency in the government's messaging, especially on issues like housing, public welfare, and green transition policies. Although the Social Democrats remain numerically the largest municipal party in Denmark, this election made clear that the party is losing its status as the unchallenged central force in local politics. One surprising trend in the results was the modest rebound of the far-right Danish People's Party, which increased its support from just over 4% to nearly 6%. While this is still a fraction of the influence the party once held, the uptick signals that parts of the electorate still respond to more hardline rhetoric on immigration and national identity, especially in regions where economic pressures and demographic changes shape voter anxiety. Meanwhile, the gains made by parties such as the Socialist People's Party, SF, the Liberal Alliance, LA, and the newly participating Denmark Democrats, DD, show that the political landscape is splintering in multiple directions. Instead of shifting uniformly towards either left or right, voters are dispersing across an increasing number of parties, each offering distinct narratives on economic justice, environmental responsibility, and social cohesion. Political scientists have been quick to analyze what this means for the Social Democrats nationally. Peter Thisted Dinesen of the University of Copenhagen called the losses significant and symbolically damaging, noting that the erosion of strongholds like Copenhagen affects party morale and public perception even if the national government remains intact. While Frederiksen's position as Prime Minister is not immediately threatened, Denmark's parliamentary and municipal politics operate separately. The results raise questions within the party about strategy, direction, and messaging. Discussions are expected in the coming months on whether the party's hardline immigration stance has gone too far for urban voters while still not fully convincing skeptical voters in rural constituencies. This dual challenge, keeping both city and countryside aligned, has become one of the defining strategic dilemmas for the Social Democrats. Analysts also highlight voter fatigue as a factor, particularly in Copenhagen. After years of political debate dominated by immigration, integration, and social policy controversies, many voters seem eager for leadership that prioritizes environmental goals, housing affordability, and sustainable urban development. Parties such as Enhedslisten and SF have capitalized on this shift by presenting more ambitious climate agendas and by framing themselves as defenders of Copenhagen's evolving demographic and cultural identity. Additionally, the perception that the Prime Minister intervened too directly by promoting Rosenkrantz-Thiel may have harmed the Social Democrats' chances, with some voters viewing the move as overly centralized and out of touch with the city's political mood. Even Rosenkrantz-Thiel herself acknowledged that the campaign was a risk and recognized that she was stepping into a political space that had become increasingly resistant to Social Democrat control. In the bigger picture, these election results reflect a Denmark that is changing socially and politically. Economic pressures, shifting cultural attitudes, and diverging priorities between rural and urban communities are reshaping the country's political map. The Social Democrats will remain influential, but this election has made it clear that their grip on traditional power centers is no longer guaranteed. The emergence of SF, the steady strength of Enhedslisten in Copenhagen, and the diversified gains among right-leaning parties show that Danish politics is becoming more pluralistic and less predictable. For Frederiksen, the challenge ahead lies in reconnecting with the voters who have drifted away, reassessing policies that no longer resonate, and navigating a landscape where party loyalty is increasingly fluid. Whether this election serves as a temporary setback or a sign of a longer-term shift will depend on how the Social Democrats respond, not just in Parliament, but in towns, cities, and neighborhoods across Denmark.